We welcome you into the Small Ball Podcast alongside Christian Ennis and Trevor Mikulin. I'm Scott Ayers. And fellas, we're finally into December. That means Christmas season is here.
Ho, ho, ho! It's the best time of the year.
Christmas.
It really
Snow's
is.
coming down,
Christmas.
and I'm watching it fall. Is that the lyrics?
That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
That was really
You guys
nice.
should go caroling this year.
Oh,
What
we
if
should.
Small Ball carols?
Yeah.
We go house to house.
We can invite Victor Oladipo.
Ooh.
He sings.
That would be a good, small, to get our marketing out there. Hey, we're from the Small Ball Podcast, and we're going to sing some Christmas carols.
That's good.
Listen to us every Monday afternoon.
Door by door.
Yeah.
Well, not even listen to us after we record every Monday afternoon.
Yeah, maybe a Tuesday morning,
Yeah. Guys,
my mom's been texting me.
What?
Trevor, I need your Christmas list. What do
I
you
was
want?
just about to bring up wish list.
Really?
Yeah, I kid you not.
I asked for some Lululemon pants.
Ooh, bougie boy.
I'm going to be comfy in 2025.
You want to hear my wish list?
Yeah.
It's NBA related.
Okay.
I wish games would start on time.
Oh.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But if a game says it starts at 5, why are we starting at 5:15? Okay? Why are my local games starting at 8 p.m.?
I have this same issue, but with doctor's appointments. If my appointment's at 9,
Yeah.
why is the doctor showing up at 9:15?
Why is the
Sometimes
dog late?
9:30.
Why is the dog? I know he's not paid by the hour back there. Come on.
Yeah.
Help me out right away.
on.
I got things to do.
I got things to do.
It's a corrupt system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that on your wish list?
A fixed system?
Fix the system.
Yeah.
Take down big pharma.
Yeah.
We've got big wishes here.
We need
We do.
small pharma.
Can Santa
Yes.
do that for us?
Say who's it?
Can Santa?
Santa can do that.
Okay.
So our wish list is Lululemon pants, games to start on time, bring down big pharma.
All right. That's a good list.
I like that.
Seems simple.
And speaking of wish lists, this becomes a time of year. We're about 20 games into the season where we're starting to see the wish lists of some NBA teams, whether it's trading away players or trading for players. So I felt like it was only right to bring the two experts, Trevor and Christian, and let's hear what maybe some wish list items would look like. AKA, what are some potential trades that we could see before the deadline now that we're starting to see things shake out in the league?
Let's have Christian go first, but I just want to acknowledge, Scott, you are the king of segues.
I will say, I'm not good at a lot of things, but segues I feel pretty good at. That's what I feel like I majored in.
That was golden.
That was nice.
That was good.
You should be the CEO of Segway.
Take them down from the inside.
Segways, Okay, bad joke.
I didn't get it.
Segways, the stand-up,
The brand segue.
the brand Segway.
Oh, it's a brand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Good joke. Let's hear your trade.
All right. Okay.
Hey. I'm not a yes man.
All right.
It's not. That's actually a great
Yeah,
point.
that is a good point. All right, so there's a ton of teams out there that have already even come out to say hey, we're gonna be sellers. We're gonna be a team that is looking to move a lot of their players because they want to tank. They don't want they're overperforming right now.
Yeah.
And so one of the teams that I feel like is overperforming is the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets is a team that should not be as good as their record is right now. They should be one of the teams that is striving to be one of the worst in the league,
Right.
so that they can get that foundational piece.
Yep.
And then one of the teams that's underperforming is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Ooh.
Okay.
And so when I look at the Timberwolves, a lot of people could say a lot of different things about what's going on, what's wrong with their team. Me personally, I look at their team and I just think that they need a point guard. Mike Conley is a great point guard, but he's 37 years old.
Father time's caught up.
It's finally showing this season.
Yeah,
Finally.
and it's just he would be perfect right now as a backup point guard.
Right.
So what I constructed, and I didn't throw in any picks in any of my trades because I just don't feel like it's necessary to throw in different picks. It's because all the trades in the NBA, it's always so random what
Right.
picks get added, and all that
Sure.
stuff. So I have Dennis Schroeder going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in return, I have Dante DiVincenzo and Leonard Miller going to the Nets. Here's my thought process with it. So Minnesota is a second apron team. So trading with them is very difficult. You have to have exactly money match with the trade. So Dante DiVincenzo clearly does not want to be in Minnesota. Yeah. He wants to start. That's his big thing.
And they're starting to call him Dante DiVincenzo.
That's what I've heard.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm calling him that.
Yeah, I'm
not
too.
a fan.
DiVincenzo, I agree. He stinks.
Yeah, and it's like ever since he's gotten to Minnesota, he's just kind of had a poor attitude. He views himself as a starter. So I was like, okay, go start on the Nets. Yeah. Nice. You know, the Nets don't want to win anyways, so like go be your guy. And then the Nets get Leonard Miller, who he's not even cracking rotation of the Timberwolves, but he seems to be a guy that is showing good signs in at least the G League. Take a flyer on him. He's a double-double guy in the G League and could be fun. And then on the flip end, Dennis Schroeder, excellent point guard. He's very underrated. He's very scrappy. He's very mean. And I feel like it just kind of matches him and Anthony Edwards' backcourt would be really difficult to play against.
I 100% agree. Dennis Schroeder and Ant together would bring this like dynamic that would really help the Timberwolves this season because they've been struggling. I had this thought. Dante DiVincenzo is like that guy that's like a 5, but he only likes 10s. And it's like, dude, recognize where you're at.
And he's
like,
an Iowa 5.
Recognize where you're at and just be a team guy, you know? Date a 5.
Date a 5.
And play off the bench and contribute to a team. But he doesn't do that. He's like, nah, I need to be a starter. It's so frustrating.
It's a loser mindset.
So unlikable.
It's crazy how like all these guys are like, I need to be a starter. But it's like, look at like Manu Ginobili. He's one of the greatest shooting guards to ever play the game. And he was an awesome 6-man.
Right.
It's crazy how so many players cannot put down their pride and like take a more like humble approach to lead a team to help them win.
Another guy on the Timberwolves that has done that, Nas Reed. And the fan base adores him.
Yeah.
It's like,
fan
come
favorite.
on. You got to recognize that fans like those kind of things.
And if you want to be a championship team, like everyone has to buy into their specific role.
Right.
Like they all have to know what they're supposed to do on that team. Not everyone can be a star. Not everyone can be a starter, but you can be an impactful 6th, 7th, 8th man. That's how you win championships. It's the guys that don't buy in. And I like this trade, Christian, because it's almost addition by subtraction. Because you get rid of maybe a bad aura player and DiVincenzo. You bring in Schroeder, and he's an upgrade for the starting 5, which I think desperately needs it right now.
Yeah, I like that trade. I like that you didn't go with like a big blockbuster deal, but a deal that would have some
Makes
impact.
sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I got one that maybe is more of a blockbuster deal.
I like it.
So
we need both.
So there's a report that came out. Teams around the league do not believe Kyle Kuzma fits with the Wizards' long-term timeline.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah. So that
Kyle
means
Kuzma.
he's available for trade. Sources said earlier this season that the Wizards' big man Jonas Valanciunas also available for trade. And there's one team that's been interested in both of those guys, the Warriors.
Ooh.
When each of those reports came out, it said that the Warriors would be interested. So we got the Warriors and Wizards talking deals. And the Warriors are a team, so let me set up each team like Christian did. Warriors want to win. They want to maximize their time with good years of Steph.
Sure.
And they want to surround him with good caliber talent. And the Wizards, they need to start playing Capture the Flagg. They need to start tanking and go for the high-end talent in the draft, Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, etc. The list goes on. So they need to lose. And also, they have a ton of young talent, that was showing out when the older guys were injured earlier in the season.
Yep.
That we want to see Bub Carrington play. We want to see Alex Sarr play. We want to see Keyshawn George play. So these are guys that they want to see play and develop and get some good playing time while they lose. So this is the deal I have. The Warriors get Kuzma and Valanciunas. Simple. The Wizards get Jonathan Kuminga and some salary fillers. Melton, Gary Payton. you got to get kind of fancy with it because they are one of those apron teams. I don't know what apron they fall on, but the Warriors they're paying a lot of money.
They're paying a lot of money.
And you got to get fancy with it. It's got to be perfect. And so I don't know the details of what that could look like, but the Warriors are in a place where they need a big like Jonas. He's still super good, solid defensively. He can facilitate a bit. He scores, he rebounds. He's kind of the, he's what did he call Kelly Olynyk a few years ago?
Serviceable.
He's serviceable. He's
serviceable.
Good. He'd be perfect for them. And then Kuzma, I mean, you got to swing for the fences if you're Warriors,
And you hope he comes back to form.
Exactly. So they need talent. Kuz finally gets to go to Cali. And
yeah,
everyone's happy. And then the Wizards get value for their veterans. They clear up some space. That allows They get Kuminga. So another young player to fit with their team while they lose. And the bonus is the salary fillers that I picked are expiring contracts. So it opens up some space for next summer.
Yeah, I like the trade in the fact of, you're maximizing what you have with Steph with getting a guy like Valanciunas and Kuzma. But then on the flip end, like the Wizards are able to take a swing. The only thing that's a bummer about Kuminga is like he is up for a new contract. So it's like, what's his value? What are you paying him?
Yeah.
But with the Wizards roster, how it's constructed now, it's like they don't really have a lot of guys that are just taking up cap space. So they can give Kuminga that like 30-something million. It's like him and Jordan Poole would be like the two players that are like
former Warriors, both of them.
Yeah, so it's like I like that idea. And then based on what the Wizards have done so far with this new GM era that they're in,
it's a guy from the Thunder, I believe.
Yes, yeah. And you could easily see them being like, all right, we're taking on Melton and Gary Payton. And it's like, oh, you guys aren't staying in DC. You're going somewhere else.
Right, flip them.
Some seconds. Or
also think about it. They have Brogdon, who's been back for about a week and a half, and he's looked really, really good. So he's kind of showcasing talent, building up his trade stock, and they're going to flip him also. So the Wizards can really set themselves up well here, and I would push them to do it sooner rather than later to set yourself up to capture the flag.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I like Kuminga too. I think Kuminga is just in a wrong situation, and I think that getting him to a team where he can really kind of spread his wings would be really good for him.
My hesitation with Kuminga is he almost kind of the same issue that Dante has. Is he maybe not what he thinks he is? Does he think he's a 10 when he's really a 7? Yeah. It needs to be like a 2 option or a 3 option. He could have that Jeremy Grant path where Jeremy Grant's a guy who showed flashes and people are like, okay, but the team he was on never gave him the chance. And then he finds his way to a team that sucks. Detroit puts up 20 a night, but it doesn't mean winning.
It doesn't impact anything.
Is that what Kuminga's going to do? I don't know.
It could. Yeah.
All right.
Good trade, Trev.
Thanks, Scotty.
I got 2 more trades. I'm going to do this third one actually first because I just feel like it's going to be short. Probably won't talk much about it, but it's between the Chicago Bulls and the Charlotte Hornets.
I love how he says Bulls.
Bulls.
He always says it like that.
Chicago Bulls?
The Chicago Bulls.
This whole trade is literally just to get the Ball brothers together.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think it's bound to happen. Lonzo's trying to kind of come back from his injury past and revitalize his career. He's on an expiring contract, and it only makes sense for him to join LaMelo in Charlotte. Kind of like how Franz and Mo are in Orlando. So this is just Grant Williams, who's injured for the rest of the year.
Yep.
And Vasily Micic.
Okay.
Nice.
He's going to Chicago.
For Lonzo.
I think it gets off the Lonzo Ball contract, which is like 20-something million. And then you just get something for him because you're not going to get much for Lonzo. And Grant Williams is a guy who can help, stir the pot, give a little bit of a dog. He's a dog that barks, but he doesn't bite.
Nope.
So
he's not the smartest either.
No.
Yeah. So, just kind
like
of
that
throw
deal.
it out there.
I like that deal. It's good value for Lonzo and for Chicago. I mean, you're not hoping to get, a golden bucket from trading him. So And Micic, you don't know what he can be, but at the same time, he's like that the 30-year-old rookie, second year guy. And I like that deal though, because getting a guy like what's the dog that doesn't bark?
Grant Williams.
I try to forget his name all the time. Grant Williams. Getting him, it's like, okay, he's not going to play this season, but he's a rotation guy next year. So get a rotation guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear your last one.
All right. Last one here. The Kings have been awful
I knew you were going to come with the Kings trade.
the last couple of weeks. It's just been, I stopped watching. I don't watch their games anymore.
Wow.
It's just
That's a low point.
It's like, it's just really frustrating to see this team supposed to be good. And they're awful. They're terrible. They can't guard anyone. Everyone's having the best 3-point night of their lives against the Kings. Every game.
Did you pick them to be in the finals?
No.
Okay. No, you didn't.
I picked the Nuggets to be in the
DeMar
finals.
DeRozan said Western Conference Finals.
Did he?
Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
I don't know.
I know me and DeMar look alike.
Yeah.
So what I thought of is this player that I've kind of always wanted the Kings to get. I just always felt like he'd be good fit, and it's John Collins. John Collins from the Jazz. I think that in Utah, he's playing really well. He's averaging like 15 points, 8 rebounds, super athletic, big, and the Kings just lack size. And what he's been, his role in Utah, he's been like kind of coming off the bench. And so I think that he could be a bench player for the Kings too. He doesn't necessarily have to come in and start, even though I think him and Domas would be really awesome. Kind of think like Jokic, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Light.
Right. But there's
It's like an unathletic looking white dude next to a really
athletic
bouncy
forward.
power forward. Yeah.
Yep.
So my trade package was Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles for John Collins. I don't know. Again, I'm not doing picks here, but contract wise, that aligns. You get Kevin Huerter, who's young. He's just not shooting the ball well. And then Trey Lyles is an expiring deal.
The return
The return.
Yes.
Back home.
to Utah.
I feel like the Kings would have to give up a pick in that. I just
Yeah,
feel like John
right.
Collins is just so much more valuable than those two guys.
Yeah, he's playing really well this season, so I just don't feel like the value lines up there.
But if there's a pick,
Right.
Here's what I say though: if you're Utah, you do want to try to get value for John Collins. If you're trying to tank right now, go get value for him because he's playing the best that he has since putting on your uniform.
yeah.
And I don't know if he fits long term. I mean, are you gonna? You have Walker, you have Lowry, and you have John Collins, and then the top two guys in the draft are both forwards.
Right.
So do you want to add another one? No, go clear space so that guy can thrive. And out of those three, get rid of John Collins and move forward with Lowry and Walker.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Huerter eventually is going to, get back to his shooting form where he's shooting 40% from three-point line. And you need spacing in this league.
Is he a good defender?
He's like an okay team defender, I would say. He's not like a ball
Average
stopper.
to maybe slightly below.
Yeah. And then I just think John Collins on the Kings would just, one, provide a lot of athleticism.
Yeah, they need that.
We're not a lot, especially with our bigs, we're not super athletic. And then two, it's just another lengthy player. And I really think that he could be an impactful player. Maybe he's our Nas Reed, since he's in this world, in my fantasy land, he's coming off the bench for us.
Gotcha. I like it. Those are some good trades. Some wish lists that maybe can come true. That's awesome. Let me tell you guys a story.
Oh.
If you're listening, just enjoy this story. Close your eyes.
Especially if you're driving.
It's last week, Tuesday morning. It's beautiful out. I wake up, cup of coffee. I see my text messages. I open them. It's Christian. Christian's in the small ball group chat. He goes, I really want to talk about the NBA Cup this show. This is for last week's show. Scott and I go, no, we don't want to talk about the Cup
We're
tonight.
groveling.
So it was we led it to a vote 2-1. Sorry, Christian, we're not talking about the NBA Cup. This week I woke up and I chose love. I chose
love.
I chose grace, and I sent a
did.
message in the group chat, and I go, you know what?
Let's just be a lesson to all you young kids out there.
Yeah, because we have a lot of youth watching
It's a
nowadays.
youth podcast.
I said, you know what? Let's choose the higher road. Christian was passionate. Let's give him a chance. So I said, hey, Christian, you want to talk cup? There's going to be a 10-minute segment on the show tonight for you to talk cup. You can talk all about it. And so I sent the text. 5 minutes later, I get a reply. No, I don't want to talk about the cup this week. Are you kidding me? What? Oh.
What have we become?
So now you don't care about the cup because it's boring. You've come to your senses. You know what else? You know who else has come to their senses? LeBron James. LeBron James. After he was eliminated, this is what he said, and I quote. Let me find it. And I quote, I don't think these tournaments are important. Well, turns out that LeBron James and Christian don't like the cup anymore and don't care. They're with us, Scott.
All right.
Let's move along.
No.
Okay.
We're talking about it now. I got to defend myself.
The cup sucks, man.
All right. One, LeBron last year made it a huge point for the Lakers to win the NBA Cup.
He did.
And then after the cup, the Lakers just were a dumpster fire. So he's probably viewing it as like, I don't need to put all my energy into this tournament because my team sucks anyways. Sure. Eventually, the Lakers are going to fall. There's no way that they can sustain the success that they've had this year. They're just not a very good constructed team right now. And so I think he just sees that. And also, too, like...
LeBron James doesn't see that.
LeBron, they lost in the cup, and then now he's like, yeah, this cup doesn't matter.
Dude, none of the starting five show, they said, explain the cup. No one knew except Sabonis.
That's because it was the first season.
Bro, they don't care about it.
Dude,
Neither do I.
The cup is a really good idea. It's just the marketing of the NBA, the education of the NBA has been terrible.
Bad education
It
department.
is
Really?
bad education.
Every game I watch, I'm flooded with the cup videos and the cup commercials. They're trying.
But for the basic fan, they probably are like, why the hell is the court bright green? What they should do is really just block out 2 weeks. And it's like, this is cup month.
Yeah.
And every game is a cup game. So there's a real feeling, but it sucks when it's like, okay, Tuesday, our court is going to be highlighter yellow. And then we actually play it back-to-back against the same team. And that second game actually doesn't mean as much. And so these players are probably like, how am I supposed to?
They need to make it more of an emphasis on why the cup games are important. Yeah, the fact that there's teams having back-to-back on cups game, terrible idea. It is awful idea.
They just are dumb.
Because these players are going to be tired. They're not going to put as much energy into it. The reason why the cup games are awesome. I was watching it was the Cavs playing the Bulls, right? It was like a close game for a little bit, and then the Cavs ended up winning, or they got a lead by 10, right? And you're like, all right, game's over, 2 minutes left. And you would think that the Bulls would kind of start slowing down. The Cavs were running up the score. There's no participation trophy. There's no respect in cup games. Players can go in there and they can go put 30 on someone's head and just keep scoring until the last second. That's what's good about the cup. We're too soft. We're way too soft these days. We're up by 10, 15 points with a minute and a half to go. Let me just dribble for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I want to see someone yam.
Run up the score. That's why cup games are fun. That's why that creates rivalries. Last year when we saw the Pacers and the Bucks, that was fun. Those games were intense.
All right.
And then it led into the playoffs. That's why cup games are important.
Well, until they make those changes that Scott talked about, I'm not interested. And you know what?
You're just not a sicko.
LeBron thinks the cup isn't important, but you know what is important?
Whoa.
Figuring out who the second best team in the West is. Yeah, Scott's not the Segway guy.
Whoa, Trevor, you're crazy.
I'm coming for the crown.
You're hot.
All right, the Rockets beat the Thunder and now are a half game back in the West for first place. And I don't think anyone here would argue that the Rockets are better than the Thunder. I think the Thunder have proven themselves.
They've got some injuries, and they're still just incredible.
They are a unit at the top. And so the Thunder sit firmly at the top of the West, but I think we have a serious question on our hands of who is the second best team in the West. Is it the Rockets? What do you guys think?
It's such an interesting start because this is when we can start figuring out, like, hey, last year this is when Minnesota, Denver, and OKC kind of just rose above the rest. But this, it really feels like OKC, a chasm, and then 2 through 10. 2 through 12, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you can mix and match who you say. So right now, I'm going to say I do think Houston is the second best team in the West. It is similar to what we saw from Memphis a couple years ago, right? Where they have these young players that are performing extremely well. And guess what? On our show, last year we talked about the signings of Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks. And I was courageous enough to say that those were smart signings. And guess what? Those have proven tenfold because they are still boneheads to their core, but they have provided something this team has desperately needed. They play an impact for why they are winning games against OKC, something that wouldn't have happened, a year or 2 years ago. So until proven otherwise, and because of how the rest of the West is playing, I will go on that limb and say Houston is the second best team in the West. That doesn't mean I think they'll finish, in the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals. But right now, they're the second best team in the Western Conference.
The Houston Rockets are not the second best team in the West. They're not. I mean, it's just we're seeing a young team overperform right now. You have guys like Fred VanVleet that you just mentioned. He put up like 38 points last night against the Thunder.
That's what my guy does.
And it's just like, yeah, that's great. But like the Rockets don't have a solid number one. They just have a bunch of like number twos, maybe threes. And it's just, they just have a ton of them. And that's why we're seeing them have success. I mean, when it comes down to the playoff games, like you have the Rockets over the Nuggets. You have the Rockets over the Suns? Like, no, you don't.
But in the regular season, they're the number. I think they're the second best team. I think
Scott, you're on record saying that they're the second best team in the West.
I think there's a huge difference too of being a great regular season team and a great playoff team. I think this is a great regular season team.
I just think as the season goes on, we're going to see teams continue to rise. I mean, the Grizzlies, for example, who I've been on record saying I didn't think they were going to be back to the top of the West, but they are. They're there. They're on a 6-game win streak right now, and they're just sitting a game behind the Rockets. Yep. So it's like that's a team that they have an established number one guy with Ja, and then they have a legit number two guy with Triple J. And they just have like a solid team around them, and they have an identity of the grit and grind. So the Rockets, to me, they're still young. What are they doing with Jalen Green? He was on the bench most of last night. Is he a foundational piece, as they've been saying the last few years, or is he like what is he? So that's where I land when it comes to the Rockets.
I land at the same place Christian does on this topic. I think the Grizzlies would be the team that if I had a gun to my head I have to pick right now, I'm picking Memphis because of the identity they have, because they've been able to sustain as a top 3 team in the midst of John Morant being hurt, in the midst of Bane being in and out. They have Gigi Jackson, who hasn't played a game this season. And so they have guys that are in and out, but still they're able to stay afloat. I think when they're healthy, they're
I just
really
feel like
good.
all these teams have question marks. And so you do mention, like, Ja, though, he's a great player, but he's also a huge question mark. Like, he's been a huge question mark. And so it's allowed Jaren Jackson Jr. to kind of flourish, but he's a question mark. That guy can't stay out of foul trouble in big games.
Well, Jaren Jackson is better with Ja. There's a ton of stats on that.
For sure. But he still is a question mark in terms of in big games. He can find himself in foul trouble within, the first 6 minutes of a game.
I mean, the NBA comes down to obviously like skill and talent, but there is a lot of luck that goes into the NBA.
Sure.
And the Rockets have just been lucky. They haven't really been dealing with some of the things that these other teams have been dealing with. Like the Mavericks, for example,
Yeah.
Luka's been out for a couple weeks.
Right.
And he just came back, and Kyrie was out. So it's like we're seeing teams like that who, in my opinion, I think the Mavericks are better than what they were last year, but we haven't been able to see them in like full form yet. And
Clay is shooting under 36% from three.
Well, Klay Thompson wasn't the needle mover, but I do think they added some other.
I'm just
pieces.
playing devil's advocate.
But I mean, even the Nuggets, like,
they've been terrible to start.
I mean, once Jamal starts playing basketball,
and they learn how to play defense.
Yeah, and also too, the team that I think is the second best team, could compete with the number 1 seed, is the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant, when Kevin Durant was playing, the Suns were on fire. They were looking so good. And then he was out for like almost a month, and that's when we saw them drop. So now that Kevin Durant's back, I don't know. I can see the Suns rising.
Health has to play a factor though, because Kevin Durant is dealing with injuries. Bradley Beal, that man loves to be on the IR. Nurkic is now out. I mean, these are all just factors of, who we think will finish second in the West. That's what the race is right now. Not who I think will finish second in the playoffs, right? I don't think that the Rockets are going to run the gauntlet, but I think they have a genuine shot to finish second in the West. And that's why I said they're second best team.
Good stuff.
You're such a politician.
What? I said that they were finished second.
You are a politician.
You were
like, they're going to finish second. But that doesn't mean they're going to finish second in the playoffs.
Well, it's different. It's different.
It is different.
There's a huge difference in being a good...
But we're talking about what team's the second best.
Yeah, the Rockets are.
All right, good job. He stood on it. Let's move on.
Well, speaking of politicians...
Me?
Yeah.
John McCain?
No, we're going to move on to DC. DC is a team that is racing to catch the flag. So let's talk about all the teams that are being miserable right now. They're being terrible in order to capture Cooper Flagg with the number 1 pick. So Trevor, you gathered 8 teams that you think are in the race to capture the flag.
Yeah, I gathered them by looking at standings, and I picked the bottom 8. Yeah, and here we have them from worst to best record. Washington, New Orleans, Utah, Philly, Toronto, Charlotte, Chicago, Portland. Those are the teams that are in the race to capture the flag, and I think a few of them are going to jump out of that. I think New Orleans will find their way. I think that Philadelphia will find their way. Those other teams, though, I do not see finding their way out of the race. So out of those teams, Washington, Utah, Toronto, Charlotte, Chicago, Portland, which one do you want to see Cooper Flagg go to? Let me say this also, just about his play thus far. Cooper Flagg's stats have not jumped out. I don't know if you guys have been staying in the loop with how he's played. He's had some massive games, though. And if you watch, he passes the eye test on the offensive end, and on the defensive end, he has been stellar. And that's probably right now the thing that I would say is his best attribute, is defensively, he is a difference maker. Any of those teams that he's going to go to that I just listed, I believe he would be the best defender on that team.
Yeah, so, I mean, his stats right now at Duke, he's averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists per game.
In college, that's pretty good.
And people forget this, but Cooper Flagg is 17 years old.
Right.
He turns 18 on December 21st or something like
Right.
that. So it's like he is a very young player, and he's going to be going into the draft very young, which is just going to increase his value, his hype so much. I mean, we all saw the USA highlights this summer of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, this guy can clearly play. And I think the best part about Cooper's game is he's not doing it all like in one area. Like you mentioned, like he's showing great signs on defense, but he's had multiple games where it's like 6 assists, 7 assists, and then on top of it getting like 8 boards and like
he's had some double doubles.
Like that's impressive. And so when I think of Cooper Flagg, I want him to go to a team in the East.
Yes,
so
please.
bad.
Him and Ace Bailey, please.
I think there needs to be balance in the league, and if we're just gonna get more and more talent in the West, it's like then Adam Silver definitely needs to make a change with the playoffs.
He needs to end conferences.
My team that I would like to see Cooper Flagg go to, and I already got a nickname for him. I want him to go to Washington, D.C., and I want to call him the politician.
Yeah.
Or the POTUS. I want... I'm not... How sick would that be? The
That would
main
be cool.
event.
Yeah.
POTUS. Those
Yeah.
are the 2 nicknames for him. And plus, with what DC, what the Wizards are developing, it'd be a really fun team. Like a really fun young team with Bub,
yeah.
Bilal, Cooper, Sar. Like that's just like fun to watch.
Gosh, you got me thinking with those nicknames we can give him, and you know, calls when he blocks someone. It's like your bill just got vetoed. You know, stuff like that. You're in the Oval Office. The list is unending.
That's awesome.
I have 2 teams. I like that Washington fit with their youth, and it kind of allows him to be the guy somewhere. Because to me, Alex Sarr isn't a high usage offensive player. He's a defensive guy that's an awesome player.
Oh, they would be awesome.
They would be fun together. I have a team now. I know the team that I really want him to go to is in the West, just based on fit. But because they're in the West, they're not my number one. I'll say it real quick: the Utah Jazz.
Sure.
I think that's the landing spot where we will get to see truly how good he is. I think Lowry's not a dog as far as if there's another alpha in the room, he's going to submit and allow Cooper to be the number 1 guy. His usage would be off the charts, and he would be the best defender, as I said, on any team.
I got a nickname for
Utah?
Cooper if he's in Utah. He's the second coming of Joseph Smith.
Stupid. All right, let's move on. The one that I think would be cool is Toronto, based on fit and who they already have. I think that's the landing spot where he would be able to win right away, the quickest out of those teams. If he lands alongside Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes and Cooper Flagg being your 1 and 2 is a elite top 2 to have, especially in the East. They would be competitive, I think, next year right away. And all those young guys get better.
Absolutely.
Cooper also strikes me as the kind of guy that elevates his teammates.
His nickname, the Canadian Flag.
Oh yeah, that's good.
This is all off the dome.
I like the DC nickname one the best.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Scott's tapping the table.
I am in agreement. He needs to go to the East. In fact, I think the top 3 picks all need to be in the Eastern Conference.
Please.
I think that would bring us great joy if that were to happen. Yeah. Ron Harper, Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg.
Please, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Right in the East.
And this team that I'm about to say, you will declare blasphemy. You will say, what a sick thing to say. But Cooper Flagg is going to the Philadelphia 76ers.
I knew he was going to say that. You just want to see him in TikToks with Jared McCain.
I think out with Joel Embiid.
Whoa.
I like that. I like
Out
where
with
this is
Joel.
going.
Now we're talking.
Let's make this franchise extremely likable. Bring in Cooper Flagg. Now you have a young core of Maxey, McCain, and Cooper Flagg.
And Paul George.
He can go.
And Lowry.
Kyle
Lowry.
out with them.
Yeah.
And let's start a real process around guys who want to win.
Gosh, McCain, Maxey, and Cooper.
That would be
really
awesome.
fun.
That would be
and
awesome.
that would probably become one of the most likable trios in a heartbeat.
It
Easily.
would.
Our perspective would completely shift on the 76ers.
The thing is to me, Philadelphia fans don't deserve that.
No.
They don't deserve that.
I completely.
They deserve a star like Embiid, and I want it to stay that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's actually such a great point. They are some of the worst fans.
They're terrible.
But just in terms of, if I think block out the fans,
Okay.
and I'm just thinking on the court, Flagg, Maxey, McCain, that would be a lot of fun.
That would be really
That's
fun.
good. Here's a team. So Christian was talking about, man, whoever's 7. Historically, in recent history, in the lottery, the 7th pick always jumps into the top 4. It's happened where they jump to 1. The 7th team right now, the Chicago Bulls.
Wow.
That could be fun.
Talk about a franchise that needs a shot in the arm.
They need
They
it
need
bad.
to be revitalized.
Yeah. Well, you were going to say something.
I was going to say a team that I would actually really like him to go. It's a team in the West, but like Portland. Imagine Cooper Flagg wearing a flannel.
Gosh.
And he would look so good. People would be like, he's from Portland.
For sure.
He's Portland grown. And it's like, no, he's actually from Maine.
He's from the farthest point, probably from Portland.
He's from the different Portland. He's from Portland, Maine, not
East.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel like Portland at that point would have way too many. I don't know. They need to develop what they have now. I feel like they have so many young guys that are just like Sharp, Scoot. You have Denny. You have Klingon now. You have the
Dominating.
What's the dude? The young guy, youngest player to come into the draft. The point guard. I'm blanking on names today. Point guard. You had him in fantasy.
Anthony Simons.
Anthony. He's the worst, but
He's got to get traded.
I
think the Blazers
they have too many
need-
guys.
The Blazers need to like chip away. I personally, another trade I thought of was like shipping Ayton to like New Orleans and maybe just taking a swing on getting Brandon Ingram, because Pelicans need a center. Ingram doesn't want to be there. I mean, it would be terrible, right? It wouldn't make sense. But like chipping away, like getting rid of Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, guys that they don't think will be a part of their core, just get rid of them.
Just trade them.
Yeah. That's our show.
That's our show. Well, we talked before the show. Oh, man, we only have 3 subjects. I don't know how long it'll be. 40 minutes.
We're like talking
that.
about.
Yeah, we're like that. That's how we know small ball's back. Well, for Trevor, Michigan, and Christian Dennis, I'm Scott Ayers saying so long for now. We will see you next week.
Mustard!